Welcome to a special episode, Magnus Aevum, a short story. We're going to call this Childish Magic. This little story is going to occur in between episodes 21 and episodes 22. We find ourselves 1 year after the events of the Sacred Island sinking and the clash between the Vicar of Arms, one of Corpse Knight's party. Anna, having reached 9 years old, is now going to find a few things out herself. Around the time of celebration, every child has. And they love the event by turning it into a party of some kind. Lamel is very good at throwing a feast, but only so good at throwing a child's party. That's okay, because I'm sure Anna has some ideas on what a real party for her is like anyway. Either case, the evening after all the festivities are over, where this opened, where Anna has had her fill of whatever sweets, savory bits, meats, cheeses, breads, possibly could ever want and have that Lamel would give her, with a tiny little Arctic fox curled up with her, sitting in bed, playing with one of her new constructions from her armory and petting Biscuit. A moment of inspiration slams into her brain, showing her flashing images of a tall, steely-like building, which inside has a woman clasping what appears to be a spear, raising empty hand to the sky. Upon a pedestal, it's a statue very much like this one. Standing around her are 8 other women in the exact same pose, though they do not possess a spear. It is almost as if they are in some way praising this statue and an icon of some kind. The oculus above it, open hole, if you will, to the sky at the peak of this room, lets in sunlight, letting everyone know that in the middle of the day. As Anna's vision closes, the woman with the spear changes position, thrusting the spear into the air and lowering her other arm. As a beam of light pierces from the spear into the statue, out the statue's spear. Anna sees herself looking at Biscuit, who's looking her eye to eye, nose to nose. Biscuit then just licks her face. This is where Anna has found herself.
You cut out a little bit. This is where Anna has found herself. What was the rest of that?
On her 9th birthday.
Ah.
How does Anna respond to all?
So, to make sure I understood you properly, I am no longer in my bedroom?
You're in your bedroom.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
You just kind of fell over in your bed a bit, and Biscuit is now looking at you eye to eye, following that strange...
Wow. I'm gonna get up, leave my room because there's not a window in my room apparently, and go find myself a window and stare out at the towers, which I assume looked vaguely familiar from the vision I just had.
One of them looks exactly like is kind of standing alone from the others, and it's drawn your attention a few times over the last few years. Doing it again.
Repeat the last sentence.
I said it's drawn your attention multiple times over the last few years, and it is doing it again.
Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. Sorry, like I said, it like every other word, every once in a while will just cut out.
Welcome to online broadcasting.
Yeah, I know, we're doing great. So it's nighttime, I assume. Party over. Is
yeah,
Dad
party's
awake?
over. It's the middle of the night.
Is anyone in the house awake?
You don't know.
Well, I'm gonna go find out.
For a little bit of curious stealth-like inspection, Anna finds only Biscuit and herself awake.
All right. Biscuit, you want to go on an adventure?
Kind of twirls around a little bit and then just kind of like puts its front paws on your lap.
All right. I'm going to go real quick, leave a note in my bed that says, be right back. Oop.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna take an adventure. I'm gonna grab my my coat. And by my coat, I mean a cape. And probably head out.
Is there anything else you grab with you? Out of curiosity, you're not recording.
And just like a small backpack with like my usual bullshit in it, but I mean nothing crazy beyond that.
Okay. So maybe a couple of snacks for you to...
Yeah. The normal, children running away from home kind of.
Yeah, okay. Got a couple of sandwiches packed in there.
I don't know how long my adventure is going to be. I get hungry in 20 minutes.
Stole some rolls.
And some, cake from the party, the necessities.
As you make your way up to what would be plan access to the next tier, if you will, of the city itself, where you go up into the 5 clans, you come across that stairwell system that you have to go down into, and then the weird tram thing. I don't know if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone else that doesn't recall, as Anna descends down these stone stairs that have been carved out for a very long time into a dimly lit tunnel at this point, because again, it's at night. It comes across a space that basically looks like just a giant cavernous tunnel that bends off to the right and to the left. Eventually, these swinging style trams, if you will, really not the greatest thing in the world, but you could probably put 10 people or so on them. They hang from the ceiling, don't really sway too much. They kind of go back and forth and balance themselves, but as they move, counterbalance themselves, the plate that you stand on stays level, and there are walls on the sides. They're not all that high. As you go to get on this and you ride it, it takes some time. You do eventually make it as it goes around and then eventually kind of towards it. You get out on the top area, there are people about, but most of them are going about cleaning duties, pickups of some kind. They're mostly hired staff of the different members of households. There are, of course, guards that are up here, but they don't really pay you much mind. Having you and your father have gone up and down a couple of last few months left.
Mm-hmm.
At this point. The fact that you're out late at night makes one guard in particular, not at the tram system, but a little bit further in, a little more curious, and he approaches you, kind of like kneels down a bit. Anna, yes?
What's it to ya?
Well, you may not remember me.
Mm-mm.
Fine. I serve in and out of the Sela households, and I recognize you from coming up with your father. Pretty late for a little girl to be out here.
I'm 9 now. I don't have a bedtime anymore. You're fucking Zach laughing in the background.
Anywhere in particular you were trying to go? Maybe I can help you out.
Top secret.
Ooh, conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, how about I take you at least part of the way? Which way are we heading?
All right, fine. We'll head this way, and I point the opposite direction of where I'm actually heading.
Okay. I'll proffers a hand in case you want to hold it. Just ignore it.
I'm a big girl.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, Biscuit is with me, by the way.
Oh no, I know.
Okay, I was like, I made him follow.
Yeah, no, I assume that. That was the whole, putting paws on it.
Okay.
Treating the fox like it's a dog.
He basically
those domesticated
is.
ones seemed to work better.
Yeah, it's fine.
So as Waylon takes you the wrong way,
mm-hmm.
you end up over in just like domestic area where There's a series of small houses that have been set up. They're big by common standards, but they're not big by wealth standards. Built much like Priya's home that's up here is, where it's not quite circular with adjacent pieces, but it is all timber. It's definitely built like a plain style hut would be, with the pulled leathers and everything. But most of these look like they're single room or maybe 2-room dwellings, unless they divided it. You can see in the center of them small puffs of smoke coming out of some of them, probably from night fires to keep everybody inside warm. And when you get over on that side, it does go into where the clan tower is, specifically for team. A bit to the east of where your tent is. The tower you're looking for is in the center. And
Okay.
up.
I'm gonna look to guard whose name I already forgot.
Wayland.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this is where we go our separate ways. And
Hey. Well, I was happy to help bring you to the clan tower. You know nobody's inside right now. You can, of course, go in and worship if you want to.
yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and wait for
He's gonna repeat that.
He's going to wait for you.
This is not needed. I said this is where we go our separate ways.
For me?
What am I making?
Persuasion?
Persuasion. There we go. That's cocked. Fuck. Hold on. My
Trying to look like-
persuasion. An 11.
Okay. So, with an 11, cocks a little bit of a brow at you, if you will. All right, I understand. Girl's got to have her secrets. It's fine. I'm going to go over into the residential area. You need me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I insight check that to know whether or not he's actually gonna leave
Yes.
me alone?
100%.
That's a 17 plus something. 17 plus 5, so 23. Or 22.
He's not being dishonest. He's just being cautious. So
Fair
he will
enough.
go over there, but he's probably going to still pay attention.
Alright. I'm gonna try to give him the slip.
Okay. So as Waylon goes to walk away and posts himself well into the residential, he can see you at a distance, but it's not a good line of sight by any stretch. How do you go about giving him the slip?
Well, I assume if I go in the building, there's like a back way out of the building kind of thing, or like pillars or something where I can kind of pretend like I'm going in and then curveball.
You can definitely fake it in the front because you
Yeah.
have to go upstairs and then into the main entrance, which is designed to have like 3 abreast to go in at once. You can easily just kind of circumvent that. I don't want to call it a stage, but it's like going up breadth of stairs that cover probably a sixth of the entire radius of the tower.
Okay, yeah,
So, and he can't see even half of that.
okay, yeah, so I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Make a stealth check at advantage because it's nighttime and he's at a distance.
10.
It is better than he got because he got a 6. I rolled a 2.
It would have been a
Oh, well.
4 if it wasn't with advantage.
Well, that's okay. So you give him the slip and start making your way roundabout around the residential side over to where the more central areas where like the Sela live or immediate needs for the clan are present, along with like the Sela being the eldership. Their houses are built in a semicircle. It's like a crest that if you came off the tram, it would go straight into that crest.
Mm-hmm.
But around that, like a boulevard, if you will, is a couple of small little general stores and stuff like that. Quick groceries and needs, so people don't have to go all the way down to the common area in the central district. Make your way around the backside of all of this, and think of it as the residential area, if you were to think of the letter C, the residential area sits in the far right of the C. On the far left of it is where some of these commerce things are, and the inside on the back is where the Sela would live.
Okay.
If we're imagining the sea going like this, right? We have the Sela are in this region. I hope I'm doing this visually on the right side.
Yeah, you're fine.
Residential, commercial. Over and back here between the commercial and the Sela is another area, because the tier are the furthest east of the 5.
Okay.
Is a area that then goes up towards where the other tower would be. When you get over there, it's a very, very old stairwell. It's very ornate. There's a series of statues mixed of men and women. Everyone is unique. Not a single one looks like the other person. Clothing looks very antiquated. You might have seen it in a book for like stories or even old histories, things like that. But it doesn't look like it was clothing anybody would ever not seen any. They would have they have a museum. So if you were to go to the museum, nobody wears that. Like, it's got to be way older.
Mm-hmm.
It's like us going and seeing like statuaries of Romans and them in togas. We're like, yeah, you don't find that unless it's in
Mm-hmm.
These are basically knapsacks that have been put over people. Look like rags. Every single person looks a little bit dirty, like somebody took some time when they carved them. And they all bear weapons of varying kinds. Most of them farm implements and tools. The occasional like hand axes and stuff like that, multi-use. But none of it is like swords or spears. There's no organization.
And this is on the outside of the tower or inside?
This is the stairwell that leads out of Clan Tier.
Oh, okay.
like,
So I'm not at the tower. I'm in. Okay.
You're going up the stairwell, and as you're going up it, there's landings filled with these statues. There's probably anywhere between 6 and 20 statues per landing on either side of it. The stairs take you probably 2 hours to go. It's a little over 1,500 stairs.
Cool.
And there's a landing about every 100, so you have 15 landings.
Awesome.
To give you, I guess, scale,
Big.
you're probably climbing. You're probably climbing with between 15 and 20 feet per landing. So you're going really high up, but you're also going up a mountain. They just happen to carve it into something more.
Mm-hmm.
All of the stonework in here is still the granite that makes up the mountain naturally. Nothing is added to here, carved down. So even the statues are part of the ground itself. There's no seams to them. So there's a lot of probably either magic involved or just incredible artisanship.
Okay.
When you get finally to the top, you're a bit exhausted and hungry.
I have
sitting in
sandwiches.
front of you, there you go. Sitting in front of you looks like a foyer that doesn't have the crest. You're in the middle of a giant circle. There's columns, give or take, every 50 feet in this circle, with the actual arches that go between them being held up by people that are basically standing on a column and leaning at each other with their hands together.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Probably blocking out my face, not thinking about it.
Yeah, it's fine. I gotcha.
For all those wanting to watch, sorry, I'm going to cover my face apparently occasionally. But essentially, like, they're all holding each other like this.
Yeah, I full tower. I gotcha.
And on their backs is stone, as if it's been lashed to them, and they're carrying stone in packs. Normally, you would be like holding the straps to it, but in this case, they're not. That holds up the second floor of this circle, where there is another set of columns that sits on each of their backs, and then another set of people that build the roof of this place that long since collapsed. Okay. So all in all, the total height might be maybe 40 feet.
Okay.
It wasn't built to be like huge. It was meant to be intimidating. The stairwell you come out of is sitting across from a couple of others. which makes sense. What doesn't make sense is you count 5 other stairwells. That means there should be 6 total stairwells, and you have no idea where the 6th go. Thinking about it. Oh, okay, well, that's... You wouldn't know which one is Astraw, which one's Caleb.
Okay, so... Sorry.
Yours, but there's a 6th one.
You cut out pretty bad there. So there are...
Shoot, sorry.
No, you're good. There are 5 staircases and a 6th one that I don't know where it leads.
So there are 5 plus the one you came up.
Okay, so I came up 1 and then there are 5. And
yes.
Are those like going down or up?
Down, just like yours.
Okay, so I am at the tippy top, or is there more up?
You don't think... There's no tower here. The only thing that's really here is a fountain that stands 3 levels, level maybe being 8 feet at best. And the fountain just kind of interweaves itself through a series of like floral-like patterns. And inside the fountain itself are a series of women bathing. They're fully clothed, but of course the clothing is sticking to them. Their hair covers a lot of their features, and it's in a mess. And it doesn't really pool. The water just cascades. It goes down 3 pieces and then falls into what looks like a catching ravine.
Okay.
That probably drops about 10 feet down, and the stairwells are rimming the sides. You could walk all the way around to any of them through the archways that the people are holding up, but there's no center point to get out to the fountain.
Okay, so fountain is not currently accessible. The
Right,
only
so
other way I see is back down.
So you'd have fountain, and then like stair, stair, stair,
Mhm.
stair, stair, stair. You can walk around the outside, but no way in.
Is there like no ground, or is there just not a path?
There's no bridge, and the entire thing drops like a ravine, easily 20 feet down.
Okay, so there's like
and
a
you have
moat.
no idea how deep the water
Yeah,
is down
okay.
there either.
Okay. And then to my understanding, based on from outside of where all these stairs were, where I knew the tower was,
Mhm.
I need to keep going up. I need to be going down and out. Okay.
You need to go up somehow.
So I need to go up, and up is not currently an option.
Yeah, so when you look around, because of that circling component that's on the outer side that's being held up, it's enough to block your view looking up and seeing it. You can kind of look out a bit, but it doesn't really help you even see the top of Tyr's tower. Probably sounded like Sears over our mic, but not intentional. But like because of that, you can't see where Astral, Lepus, TOGG, or Kalim's is either. The only thing you can kind of guess would be mapping out with a survival check, maybe where that makes sense the other 4 might be.
Sounds great. You said survival?
Yep. You try it with nature as well, but it would be probably better with survival.
It is better with survival. It's a 9.
Oh, okay. So when you go and kind of check them all, you don't really get anything that really tells you a lot. You kind of peek into each of the stairwells. So the tier 1, the people looked like primitive peasants, essentially, or maybe even hunter-gatherers. When you look in one of the stairwells, they look like people that are in... you've seen Viking-style shirts, the t-shirts, kind of crest down.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically in those, and a lot of them are carrying implements for writing and reading. You look at another one, and it seems to be these really fine draping shirts that have like a sash on an actual belt.
Okay, yeah, I think I get where we're going with that.
Right, and you're starting to kind of get an idea what each one might relate to.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that bothers you is one of them is nothing but women. All the rest, it's mixed.
I don't see why that bothers me. Can I investigate the one that's all women?
Sure.
It's a 10 plus, I assume, investigation.
Yes.
11.
Okay. So, a couple of things that are relatively unique about this. The part that bothers you at first is because you're trying to figure out what's going on. They look a lot like the women that are inside the fountain. And they're all heading down the stairwell. Everybody else was seemingly going up with it. This is the only one that it seems like the people are going down.
Okay.
When you do a decent investigation of it, they don't have any implements, and their clothing is just a gigantic piece of cloth that goes all the way to the ground.
Okay. Can I, like, follow where they're going?
Sure. As you get maybe a landing and a half down, there's not enough light to see by. The others had some light sources there. There's none.
I'm like 90% sure I have some light bullshit. I have light.
Okay. Just gonna cast the spell light.
Yes, I am.
Okay. On what?
My sandwich.
Okay. Light that can break down. Got it.
Because
So
the
as
dimmer,
you're
the
walking-
hungrier I get.
That's fine. As you're walking down, you only go down about 5 landings or so in total. When you get to the 5th, it's just a tunnel. When you take a look at the tunnel, you come across a door, maybe 100 feet in. Not that you were like counting it, but kind of counting your steps a bit, like playing games with it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a momentary flash of memory. Door is like it's part of the stonework that's there. Really smooth, very simple. Has 3 separate rings kind of built into it, and there's runes in the rings. The runes aren't like what they use for magic throughout the kingdom. These runes look like they're much older, and they don't have that jagged geometry to them. They look like somebody scrawled in the dirt with a stick when they did it on stone. Flash of memory reminds you of when Gwen went into a mountain.
Okay. I'm gonna take one of my daggers and touch the rune.
Let's go ahead and have you do a spellcaster check. D20 plus your proficiency plus your casting. Based on this eye rub, it's not good.
8.
8. I think it's a great idea. One of them kind of reacts a little bit for a second, and then it just kind of fizzles out.
Alright. I turn to Biscuit. Biscuit, I think I'm gonna need your help here.
Okay.
And I'm going to, I guess, kind of like try to meld my mind with him to get him to understand what I'm asking is not actually gonna hurt him. But I need both of us to be bleeding and try this together.
Make an Arcana check, because it is a familiar.
Da, 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 da. 17.
So somehow you convey this to Biscuit.
Perfect.
Now I need an animal handling because Biscuit doesn't want to hurt itself.
But I'll give him part of the light sandwich.
Do the animal handling at advantage? Question. I'm going to let it go.
Alright, that's a 15 plus something. 17.
Probably enough. That's probably it.
Solid.
So,
The fuck out of here, die.
Biscuit understanding what's going on kind of like almost braces itself as it puts a paw out.
I'm not gonna like cut. I'm just gonna do like a little, like a boop.
Okay.
I don't wanna hurt the man.
Of course, when you poke it, no matter how you poke it, it still yelps.
Yeah, he's fair enough.
Um,
I'm gonna give him some sandwich.
Biscuit initially like licks the wound a little bit, and then goes and starts eating.
Okay. Now we're gonna do this together. And I'll grab his little paw, grab my hand, and we'll go boop.
Okay, make that spellcaster check. See how it goes.
What am I adding
Oh.
again?
Your proficiency and your spellcasting stat.
12.
Door responds by vanishing.
Well, that didn't help.
There's a bit of a tunnel that continues.
Alright, I guess. Well, like, was the tunnel was there before. The tunnel didn't just appear.
Well, the door looks like it's all part of the tunnel, so you wouldn't even have known there's anything outside the fact it's a door.
So if I continue down the tunnel, am I ignoring the door over here, or is the tunnel...
No, it's like you're going straight down, and you get about halfway, and it looks like it dead ends at this piece. The only reason you know it's a door is because of the memory from...
Mm.
And then it just vanishes, and then you see what looks like tunneling.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, I will continue to... Yeah, gotcha.
Got it? All right,
yes.
Cool. As you make your way through, you have probably a half hour. And then it kind of opens up.
I have to get a new light sandwich, but go on.
Okay, that's fine. You start seeing this faint bluish red light kind of mixing. It's not one or the other. Or, sorry, it's not like it's a single source producing. It's like multiple sources of light. Kind of, think more candle flames mixing than LEDs.
Okay, I will quickly...
It is flickery.
Probably eat my light sandwich so that I am no longer glowing coming into this.
Okay. As you get to the end of it, you find this arch that's carved out of the tunnel itself with a post and lintel, which is basically how columns would be made to hold up houses. You basically have two that go upright. One that's like this. Stonehenge is a post and lintel. You could basically walk through an archway that's built that way.
Okay.
And then there's a series of greater ones that are part of a wall on your immediate right and left. There's probably about 20 feet in front of you and about 30 or 40 wide. Hard to gauge because there's rubble all over the place. And what looks like wooden scaffolding that has rotted out a long time ago. However, there's a bridge that seems to cross this creek of sorts. There's two waterfalls on either side of it that are coming out of a separate post and little piece of the wall. But the water is this off purple mixing. But if you look to the left, it's red. If you look to the right, it's blue.
Okay.
The bridge goes over that into where that scaffolding is all rotted apart.
Do I, like, because when I was in Dominus's workstation or whatever the fuck it was, and like at the tree, I could sense and feel the magic. Do I sense that coming from the blue side of the fountain?
Oh, it's coming from both.
Oh, okay. That's not where I thought then. Okay.
Easy way to think about it is blue is pulling, red is pushing.
Okay, I went for blood magic.
Oh. No. They still look like water as far as like when they splash, it looks clear-ish. Mm-hmm. It seems to be more of when it's mixed together, you get the deeper hue, just like water. As it gets deeper, it usually goes more brown or more green or more blue, depending on what it's in. This is kind of have that effect. It has more probably to do with the walls than it does the fluid.
Okay. Well, I will cross the bridge. Okay.
As you cross it, you feel like you crossed through water. You almost feel like you push through. You don't, if you've ever, your character's definitely dove in water before. It's kind of like that initial impact, but then you don't feel like you're in water anymore. You just feel like you kind of went through it and then back out. As you do, the pulse of magic that you felt on the island basically thrums real quick and then it starts matching
Matches my what?
Your heartbeat.
Okay.
Initially you hear it and then it kind of fades away and then nothing is, people don't pay attention to their heartbeats. I don't know if you ever had a pulsing in your ear where you can kind of feel your heart rate. Same idea, only you're feeling it through your entire face and your chest.
Okay.
And then it just kind of subsides away. You can still feel that the force is present. Mm-hmm. And all it lays in front of you is a bunch of rotted scaffolding, a room that seems to continue a bit. Can't really gauge how far, because the light sources from the water isn't significant enough to light the other side of the room.
Okay, well, being as it doesn't look like there are people in here, I will put a light source up. This time it will not be a sandwich.
Okay.
It'll be, I mean, just whatever item I'm holding. So I guess my dagger, probably.
Okay. As you start to walk about this area, you see that there was restoration occurring to parts of the walls. There's tapestries are now on the ground. They brought it out. There's statuary, much like the women you saw in that brief dream in your bedroom. They have one hand that's like raised to the sky, and they are missing whatever implement they're holding. It looks like something sword-like or spear-like, or a round handle, but so even an axe handle. You see no remnants of the objects, so either they were removed or they've rotted away because of time. The wood scaffolding seems to have only stayed together because there's enough moisture in here that plants have started growing together in a whole.
Okay.
As you get to the other side, you find a spiral staircase that is embedded in the wall. Walk through a small arch, just like the one you came in, and it starts spiraling.
Okay, it goes up. Before I go up, you mentioned back when I was at the tier worshipy thing, and there were the guards, the darkness guards. And I attuned to a dagger.
Oh.
Can I try to think about the dagger to see whether or not I can get it?
You feel like the dagger that's already in your hand gets reinforced.
Okay.
But you don't feel it's any more or less special than it was, just more durable than you could.
Okay.
And it elongates about 4 to 6 inches.
Okay.
Going from a dagger to a sword.
Okay. Up I go.
Okay. As you go up, the light that you cast on it, the addition parts of the blade where it spades, where the point was originally, is now part of the mark of the blade. The light doesn't pass past it; it stays lighting the original dagger's frame.
Okay.
Gives you enough light to see by, but it looks like glass that is around for the remainder of the blade. It's imperfect, very rough, like somebody chiseled it with chisel and hammer versus actually properly shaving it and grinding it and whatever else. And as you walk up, you find little alcoves that have more of these women that are more standing kind of in penitent stance, where they're lower down to the ground, knees and shins touching the floor. Again, they all look like they're part of the structure. There's still no seams. But instead of being like prostrated like you would see in a Christian church where they're instead have their hands out, but lowered at their waist, and it looks like they're bleeding. There's no actual blood. It's just stone that's very realistically carved. So basically look like it's flowing off and down their arms and pooling to little recesses in the ground near them.
Okay.
But it is still all stone. All in all, there are 8 of them before you reach them.
Okay. This is like on my way up, I see this?
Yes, on your way up. To think about it this way, when you enter in, you'll get to about here, you'll see one. You'll see one.
Yeah, okay.
See what you get out, they're on opposite sides, but they're up from each other. When you finally get to like the 4th or 5th one, you start realizing there must be a ranking system because their clothing gets more ornate. It's a guess, but it makes some sense. When you finally get to the top, you go through another arch just like you did when you got in, but it opens up into what kind of looks like the Ministry of Laws building. There's this beautiful stonework tile that's across, made of various pieces of stone put together to create some sort of symbolistic image that doesn't have any particular meaning to you. In the center, though, is essentially a pylon that stands about 15-20 feet in the air, and standing on top of it is the woman that you saw in your vision. She's 50 feet tall herself. She's bare-breasted, but it's because the clothing had shredded off of her. You can see the stone peeling it back off of her, and the light as it's going down from her hand that's up is peeling off, and like little blades going into her. It almost looks like she's being burned away by potentially a fire. Even the clothing that's peeling off of her looks that way. The closer it gets to her hand, the more it looks like her flesh is. Parts of her face, parts of her hair are falling off. And she's slowly incinerated. It doesn't change. It's a static image. It just looks like.
Mm-hmm.
There's all around it basically a series of pillars that hold the place up. There are 9 of them in total, with the 9th one being offset and throws the room symmetry completely off. But above it seems to be another image of a person. This one completely unidentifiable by gender, but they are nude because there's no clothing detail on it, but you can see muscular definition, but it's a Ken doll, if you will. That doesn't look so muscular as a Ken doll.
Mm-hmm.
And it's falling from the sky towards the 50-foot tall woman on the pylon. Above it is this dome with a hole cut out of the top of it that lets you see the stars above. Glass that should be in the dome framework has all been long since shattered, and it's just in pieces. You can see pieces of metal that held it up, rusted away. There's parts of it there, but a lot of it's on the ground around the statue.
Wait, so it was actually glass at one point?
Glass and lead. It's kind of like how stained glass.
Okay, but it wasn't just made to look like that out of stone.
No, it's actually glass and actual metal, as if it was actually added after the fact. Where the dome ends is, where the dome begins is where all that natural stonework that looks seamless ends. Everything from then on looks like it was manufactured. And that includes the person falling down. They look manufactured. Looks really actually out of place. When you get a bit of a closer look on it, it actually has a bar on it, and it's actually bent down. That's why it's in that. It's supposed to look like it's going up out of the place. In here, that thrumming comes back only stronger, and it starts sounding
like drums.
There's dum dum dum, nonstop. 2 different ones. The upbeat, or basically when your heart does the in-out beat. One is one drum, one's the other.
Okay. And there's no like that's it, right? There's no up, in, out, like that's it.
Seems to be.
All right. Can I go and touch the woman?
You'd have to climb the 15 feet up the pylon, but yeah, you could.
That's fine.
Go ahead and give me an athletics just for... unless you just want to take your time.
I will take a 10.
Take a 10 is allowed. So you get up there eventually. Probably takes you a couple minutes. The nice thing about it being old and there's an opening, rain's been hitting this thing for a while. So you manage to climb up there. At the base of her feet, it's like this swirling of the cloth that seems like it goes around her. You're not sure of what the point would be because it's supposed to be part of her dress, but it does leave her feet exposed, and basically on one leg, about half her shin down is exposed. But it's not intentional. It's more of just like this swirl effect for this stuff. I think whatever rain's been coming in here has been slowly away. Because on the back side of it, you can see a stalactite slowly.
Your cutting out is getting worse again.
No! So on the back side, because of that swirling effect on the cloth, you're fairly certain that's water that's been slowly eroding away the intricate work, because there's a stalactite slowly forming on the back end of the pylon.
Okay. Am I climbing her, or am I climbing next to her to be able to get up with her?
You climbed up the pylon, and then she stands here up.
Okay, so she's sitting on top of it?
She's standing on top of it.
I'm gonna do two things. I'm going to alter self a little bit to see what I can do to try to look like her.
Okay.
Then I'm going to absorb elements so that I can get resistance to fire.
Okay. Are you doing it in that order?
Yes.
Just asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably the other way around, but it's fine. I'll make that mistake.
When you go ahead and you alter yourself to look like her, it's almost a flawless reproduction. It's rather interesting at first, as you actually grow a little bit in height, obviously aged, going from a 9-year-old girl to a fully adult woman.
Mm-hmm.
But burning part that you anticipate never happens.
Better
you are standing there with, the same level of clothing as her.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of your everything goes into your body from yourself. Because she's a solid piece and you're using alter self, you'll gain her clothing.
Okay. I'm then going to take my new fancy dagger sword and ka-chink, and then just place my hand like on her shoulder, like I'm coming up from behind her kind of thing.
She's 50 feet tall, so you'd have to climb up.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm just clarifying. Okay.
You said I grew. I wasn't sure how much I grew.
Yeah, no, you grow to an adult person. It's
Okay.
like you're, between 5'5" and 6 foot. It's still easily 10 times your height.
That's all right. Well, if that's it, I won't do it. I'll do the leg or whatever. The highest part of her I can reasonably reach without having to climb more is probably smarter.
So when you do, from the tips of her fingers and both arms, throughout her entire body, it's slowly going down her leg, is that same scrawled out weird runes, like a stick in the sand, start forming all around her and eventually go onto your skin like tattoo.
Ooh.
As it's happening, that burns.
Well, the absorb elements is still up.
And so you take damage. I just said it still burns. Like if you played around with bleach for too long.
Cool.
It's not fun. It's not pleasant.
I don't imagine it would be.
When it finally stops, it looks essentially like henna tattoos that are all up and down your body.
Mm-hmm. Daddy's gonna be
And a ring
mad.
forms on your right hand, middle finger. It's looks like it's made out of a dull metal.
Okay. Can I try to identify the ring, or
Sure.
get a memory from it or something?
You're gonna identify it. How are we identifying it? What are we trying to figure out?
Well, I'm gonna first look at it, see if anything triggers or flashes, and then from there I'm just gonna try to investigate it and I guess try to see if there's anything magical about it.
Okay. So nothing flashes, nothing weird happens, no strange dreams, memories, or otherwise. So are you going to investigate its physical properties, or are you going to attempt to see if it's magical?
Physical first and then magical.
Okay, so physical first, knowledge, nature, try to figure out what it is.
So that's a 3.
Okay, you're not too sure what it's made out of outside the fact you know it's metal.
Cool.
It is cold, so...
And then I said Arcana next, I would imagine. 21.
So you can't identify the spell that seems to be a permanent enchantment on it, even with such a high roll. But not only is it magical, it itself is magic. It's like a spell that's been woven into a physical, versus an enchantment, which is magic that has been into something.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll, does that go away if I change my appearance back to normal?
Test it.
Well, I'm gonna.
Okay. No, it doesn't.
Sweet. Do the tattoos go away?
No.
Cool.
Like I said, they're basically henna.
Okay. Can I, like, decipher? Like, are there words and symbols on my body now, or is it, like, a pictures, or...
It looks like a language, like something you could theoretically read. But it's not any language you know.
Okay.
No flash of inspiration helps you.
Okay. Can I look through Biscuit's eyes and properly view myself 360?
Yeah, with an arcana, sure.
All right. 11.
Okay, it takes some doing and a little bit of time coordinating Biscuit to actually do this. I mean, it's one thing for him to walk around you.
Well, I can, like, see through him and act through him, too.
Right, I know, but I mean, it's like, think of it as a camera kind of.
I just meant, like,
person.
familiar versus a companion, kind of, if that was...
Yeah, no.
Okay.
The arcana was just to make him move the way you need him to. So versus a camera that kind of pans around you, looking at you, which is essentially what normally looking would be, or seeing through dog cam, if you will, equivocal. You have to get him to actually pay attention to the individual pieces you're trying to look at, which is a bit of control on a familiar. So having him move deliberately, things like that, it's a more finite control. It's the only reason you need to roll. You eventually pull it off with some effort, and it gives you enough. You can make essentially a sketch on paper of what it should theoretically look like. You figured out that if you take it from the crown of your head to the tips of your feet, you would be reading left to right. So if you were to lay down, you would read down your head. Probably going wrong. Down your head to your whichever direction it's supposed to be. Still left to right.
Yeah.
But your arms would theoretically be outstretched. Your legs would be completely together where your legs are long. Your arms denote a width, and it seems to be that phrase is separate from the rest of the word. Whatever that creates. When you look at your back, it then creates two separate images. You have story A, story B, phrase A, phrase B.
Okay. And you said I can't, like, read it or anything like that. I just kind of write it down and
says.
write it down, cross that bridge when I get there. All right, I will take note of that. Well, it's gonna be hard to explain to Dad. It's fine. I'll get him drunk. He won't know. Okay. Does there seem to be anything else in the room?
Investigation.
13.
So if you go over towards where the ninth pillar is, the one that out of shape or out of the symmetry, in front of it, see embedded into the stone is what looks like a footprint for someone of probably triple your weight, and then the imprint of a knee, bit of a shin, and a foot. Spaced as if somebody's kneeling.
Okay. Like kneeling before the other person?
Kneeling before the pillar.
Okay.
Whether somebody was standing in front of the pillar or not, that's conjecture.
Well, it's like a person standing and a person kneeling. Like
you don't see any evidence of a person standing, just a person.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So you basically have the imprint of the kneeling, and then about 10 feet.
Okay, but it's one person, not two.
Right, you only see one imprint. The person easily weighs 3 times what you do, and they're probably bigger than your dad. That's all you really know. Oh, and the footprint is actually a foot, toes and all.
Does it look male or female?
Nature to know that. Actually, you could do survival.
Well, it's a nat 20.
Doesn't matter. Male.
Okay.
Most assuredly male.
All
Not that
right.
you could tell male or female from feet as easily, but you can tell by...
Typically, men will
feet.
have bigger, like hairier feet and stuff, and women are usually more dainty, typically.
I'm thinking more of how male and females would walk, how they would plant themselves. Figuring that out, it's male by. Because you're only getting the bottoms of their feet and the bottoms of their toes. It's not enough to really...
All right. So they're kneeling in front of the pillar or a statue?
No, the pillar.
And the
Their back
pillar
would be to the statue.
Okay, the pillar depicts anything, or is it just a pillar?
It's the only one in the room that's plain.
Alright. I'm gonna do 2 different things. First one, alter self-appearance or whatever to try to, I guess, look like my dad. He's the biggest guy I know. And kneel down in the appropriate holes in which to kneel down.
Okay.
See if that does anything.
You're too small.
Cool. Biscuit, jump on top of me real quick, see if that helps. Nope. Alright, cool.
Make an intelligence check.
Seven.
Probably known at least 2 people bigger.
Alright. Can I
Um,
pick a bigger person?
the only 2 that come to mind, Corpse Knight, the Paladin.
Paladin seems great.
Okay.
Alter appropriately. Same thing.
Make an Arcana check, and it's got a reasoning.
14.
Okay. So this works kinda. Your problem is you've never seen what the Paladin looks like outside of armor, so you don't know what they actually...
He was in my house.
He didn't take the helmet off or anything.
Fair enough, okay. Well, he's not a paladin, he's a vicar. Okay, never mind.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no.
Well, no. Hold on. Hear me out. I imagine at some point in this, we did attend the school like we said we were going to.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to attempt to meet with the headmaster, as that was part of our plan anyway. He's a paladin.
Knowledge?
Just in the sense of I have a visual there.
Okay.
I don't think he's the one I need to be, but he's the one I have the better visual of.
Okay. No, that's actually fair.
I think I need to be war, but I'm gonna take knowledge.
So the idea for the school is that you'd be able to go over the...
Yeah, I would have been able to have met the headmaster at some, or seen him in passing at least, yeah.
Okay, so you turn into the Paladin of Knowledge. It's about right. Actually still slightly too small, but it gives you a good relationship.
Yeah, better than Lamel.
Better than your dad.
Yeah.
And when you do this, you start uttering a language you're not familiar with, but you are aware you're speaking in.
Borrowed knowledge? It's a spell I have.
You're going to cast it while trying to... You're spewing out involuntarily this oath?
I think I'm going to let myself finish to see if it, like, goes on a repeat.
Okay.
And then cast it and see if I recall anything.
So when you do borrowed knowledge, you're more or less going to have to try to memorize the oath to some extent, but that's fine. It doesn't call.
Short-term
Not
memory?
a recording. Yeah, short-term memory it is. It's not a recording, so you're kind of stuck with what you think it said.
Mm-hmm.
So you piece together that it's an oath of blood and an oath of fealty. But the oath of fealty isn't to lords or anything like that, like the whole fealty oath is. It's an oath to the land, the womb, and the flame.
WOMB?
Yes.
And
Like
flame, yep.
a
I
woman's
just want to
womb.
make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're basically swearing, like, in a translation, right? They're swearing their whole existence, body, mind, and blood,
Mm-hmm.
to what would essentially be their viewpoint of their mother, their viewpoint of the land, the viewpoint of their life. But it's not on their life, it's the source of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can at least figure that much out. Source is definitely external. You believe it's the subject of who they're swearing it to, but you don't know.
Fair assumption.
It's a good assumption.
Okay. Can I, after I finished my oath, stand up, do me a little blood pillar?
It doesn't really do anything.
Okay. But it is a pillar. It's not like a pretend pillar that I can just walk through.
No.
Okay.
No, it's actually there. Around the other 8, though, are those little wells that were underneath the women when you climb the stairs.
The blood wells, or?
There's like little tiny spines at the base of it. 2 of them on either side, like if someone were stand there.
Repeat, like if someone put what there?
If you were to stand with your back against the pillar,
Uh-huh.
there's 2 little of the wells. At the center of the well is like little spines that you eat out on. Not be pleasant to stand.
Okay. Cool. Alright. That's some sacrificey stuff.
Perhaps.
Little bit.
Wonder who session zeroed that kind of problem.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a 9-year-old child.
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing. Mm-hmm.
Hints for those watching.
Mm-hmm.
Session zeroed.
Mm-hmm. Alright. I mean, there's nothing in here I haven't kind of already played with that looks of interest, correct? Alright. I'm gonna go back to the woman. I'm gonna alter myself again to go back to looking like her.
Feels natural.
Okay.
You're not expending the spell slot.
Oh, sweet. Just when it's me looking like her, or...
When you're looking like her.
Okay.
It's almost like a relieved, letting go of all the weariness and weight of the world kind of sigh as you shed off the childish and you transform through it as that sigh. Mechanically, we'll add a spell to it.
Okay. Alright. Tattoos, I assume, still here?
Oh yeah, will be for a couple of weeks.
Alright. Well, I want to just kind of take down notes in general of the room, how I got here, what I saw,
Okay.
the whole shebang, draw myself a little map, that kind of thing. I'll take the time to do that. And then, I guess Biscuit and I are gonna head on back. Unless
Good.
something exciting happens.
Oh, and there is a Zach.
There was.
As you head out,
Mhm.
you get to that room that has the waterfalls and you cross
Mhm.
the bridge. As you're crossing the bridge, your head immediately jerks back briefly. And you kind of like look up and take a deep breath. Or sorry, you take a startled, gasping breath like you started to drown briefly. You reflexively stayed in the woman's form. And that form is stripped off. Turn back into the that you are.
After I pass the waterfall, can I put it back?
When you go to cast it, it seems like expended. But at your feet is a small plate, big, it has the motif skull that is being collected by a robed figure.
Like they're like an actual plate or like a little minifig?
It's a piece of metal, slightly arched. Smoked as if it's been in a fire. It's definitely metal. Actually, you're a blacksmith, so I won't even fire roll. It's a part of a breastplate. It's about the size, just enough to cover the you're familiar with what a gorget is, right? The neck piece that's placed over to protect the neck that goes between the plate mail and the cade of the helmet.
Yeah.
It's that. It's a gorget.
Okay.
And it's basically a small pile of bones that looks to be on an open field. There are broken swords all around in the ground, and then there's this cloaked figure who is picking a skull up. They're bent over and they're picking a skull up.
And that's the picture that's in the thing?
It's part of the metal. It's,
okay.
It's reliefed off of it.
I will
maybe a millimeter.
Pocket that.
Very artsy, very detailed. But highly morbid.
Okay, I will pick it up and put it in my backo pack.
You pick it up.
Is it
You
hurt?
remember an individual.
Okay.
Stood about 7 foot tall and wore this armor. You helped make them defend 9 sacred women. I don't know why you know this. Being just a child. Nonetheless, I feel like you did it.
I'm pretty talented.
But otherwise, it's uneventful. You make your way all the way back home after another 2 hours of hiking, and the sun is...
Technically, I don't go home.
Oh.
I go back to that temple where the dude was waiting for me. I come out of there.
Okay.
So that he thinks I was there the whole time. And I
Nice.
have him
like
walk
that
me
way.
back.
There you go. Waylon's coming back.
And for what it's worth, I'm going to attempt to alter self to hide the tattoos, at least from him.
Alter self, you can make yourself look like yourself and not see the tattoos. That's fine. You want to.
Just for him.
Okay.
I'm not going to keep that up all the time. When I get home, I'll deal with the consequences. But for right now...
Fair enough.
I was praying for a very long time.
So Waylon takes you home. As you're finally getting home, the sun is starting to come up. It's just cracked. The sky is no longer black, but it is not illuminated that the sun's up.
All right. I guess I'm gonna go to bed.
There you go. All right.
Hey, Lamel.
Well, this is going to conclude the short story between episodes 21 and 22, Childish Magic.